Hey everyone, so welcome back. What are we doing today? We're talking about these Danner Tachyons. I am going to bring us through some details about them, what Danner says about them, how they market them, go through some costs, and go through some of the features. Then, as you can see, these are just dirty as hell. These have been on, what was it, a 7-day hike through Killarney National Park, the La Clostellar Trail. For those of you in Canada, that's just a park in Ontario. And yeah, so let's jump into things. So starting off with some of the features, you can see them here. There's a straight leather boot mixed with some textile, and I'll bring us to the actual features. There you go. So here's how Danner markets them. So athletic inspired, duty designed, field proven. We heard the demand for a lightweight trainer, but we weren't going to make one until we could meet the exacting standards of Danner. Getting it right was essential. The Tachyon is the output of research and patience to make a trainer boot that can hold up to the rigors of the field. With a wide range of versions available, whether waterproof, polishable toe, or hot weather specific, you can find the right Tachyon for the job at hand. Most importantly, you can be confident that even though it's inspired by shoes worn on an athletic field, it's built durable to hold up in whatever field your tactical athletics take you to. So as you can see there and here, it's pretty much meant to be a boot that's half sneaker, but boot first. So it's light, it's high speed, it's fast. It's got some fundamental features as they talk about here, like there's GTX options, so some of them have Gore-Tex. It is polishable, so you can use it for duty. And the main thing here is a trainer boot. It's stuff like what you see here is a guy on range, and he's running around, moving fast, needs a Don doff it. It's not even particularly aligned with what I use it for, which is just a week out hiking. They don't market it that way. It's marked for like when you're doing just some run and gun or something like that. Going to the features, again, it's got full grain leather, right? And it's a thinner, pretty basic full grain leather. It's just good enough for what it's meant to do. Like it's not a thick leather meant for heavy duty work or mountaineering or hunting. It's thin enough where it has a good durability. It's got 500 denier nylon upper, and that's the textile portion you can see here on the tongue and on the sides as well, the side panels to help with breathability. There's 1,000 denier, which is higher, which is thicker. But for this, it's perfectly fine for a shoe that gets tied in and needs some flexibility. Polishable toe. The ones we're looking at today do have Gore-Tex, which is nice because then they have a special liner inside to protect the Gore-Tex. This is important later on because it does add to the comfort. Speed lace system, your typical loop all the way through. And of course, there's the rounded, pretty much like a paracord nylon lace to keep it moving quickly. Open cell polyurethane footbed. That's a fancy name for a shitty insole from China. EVA midsole, so pretty standard EVA midsole there. Just enough cushioning to make it comfortable. And a Danner Tachyon outsole. Essentially a 100% rubber outsole. Looking at the models, you can see here, these are the two I have. I have the basic Danner Tachyon non-leather version, and I have the one with the GTX that's waterproof, and we're going to be cleaning this boot today. There's a leather version that does not have any Gore-Tex lining, and of course there's the Unlined rough out leather version as well. These are probably one of the more popular versions that I see people wear on the street a lot. Look at the price. It's steep, man. Both of these, I have two of these boots. I did not buy either of these retail. I got this one on Amazon Warehouse. I think it was like 80 or 90 bucks. And I think I got the Tachyons for around 110, both on Amazon Warehouse. So just keeping a close eye on that stuff, and saw a lucky price, and I just bought them right away. To spend 300 bucks on such a basic boot like this, get it on sale. All right, let me get these laces out, and we'll talk a bit about the features and the pros and cons of everything. So while I complain about the price, and to say how they're a pretty basic boot, they're a good boot. They're well made. Danner is a good company. I've had to warranty shoes with them before, and they just made it almost no hassle. They didn't even want the shoes back. Where sometimes some boot companies make you go through the hassle of mailing a boot back. You see these are dirty as hell. Let's get these laces out. Nice. So you can see they're pretty floppy. They don't have a lot of structure like your standard boot, which is interesting because that's some of the features, or one of the features people look for in a boot. They want that ankle support because you're usually wearing a boot. You're typically bearing a load, right? You typically want higher arch support in a boot, but this is not your typical boot. This is meant to be a bit more of a sneaker. So what are those benefits of having a sneaker slash boot, which are becoming more popular nowadays? There's like the Garmonts and the Belmonts. They're looking more and more sneaker-ish. And actually, let's talk about that now. Some of the benefits are you still get a bit more ankle support, A. B, they're not quite a sneaker, so they're not quite as squishy. You do have a bit more support if you do have a load on your back. Again, are you rucking 80, 60 to 100 pounds with these things? Probably not. You'd probably want a more supportive boot. There's also the benefit of, on top of the ankle support, there is that higher gusset here, and it is a boot, so it does keep crap out of your shoe. If you were to be doing, like what you saw the run and gun earlier on those images, you're going to be getting gravel in your sneakers within a matter of minutes if you're running around like that, and that could really just be annoying to have to stop and clear gravel out of your shoes. If you're in a more less permissive environment, you're just stuck with that. You don't have time to take your boots off, right? So, all right, let's get these clean. They're dirty as hell. I'm going to use saddle soap for this one, as usual. Get a bit of water. And the lid here. This is my brush I use specifically for saddle soap most of the time. And I just scrape some saddle soap. You don't need a lot. Again, just very little, just kind of like that much. And then it'll turn sudsy and you can clean the boot with it. Put in the lid with some water. I'll show you. Just get it in there and it'll get all sudsy. Probably use a bit more suds. There you go. There's your saddle soap. Saddle soap is essentially just a soap that has a little bit more oils as far as I understand. It doesn't have harsh detergents. So it's not as rough on the leather as a regular sort of soap or detergent could be. Some people will market it as, oh, this stuff is like good for your shoe, leaves it moist and everything. It does not. You do want to be careful how often you use soap suds. It does change the pH of the leather, I've read. That can leave it a bit more brittle over time. Now, that's over years and years of using saddle soap too much, right? Otherwise, most of the time, if you're just cleaning it a few times a year with saddle soap, your shoe should be just fine. You see how I just kind of get all this dirt saturated? You could get it on the textile as well too. I've never seen it cause issues there. I'll get everything saturated so you can get that dirt off and wipe it off. There you go. Definitely get all the leather, get the leather parts. You want to get inside this gusset section here too. Do a proper cleaning. Do the sides of the boot as well, the back. Get everything nice and clean. Nice. I am just going to wipe these off right away. You know, a lot of the time too, you can just get away with just using soap, saddle soap. You don't always need to polish and everything thereafter, but it's good too. All right. Already looking way better. Huh? Already looking good. Nice. Let me get to the other boot now. Got a bit more water in here. Dirty ass boots. I've been staring at them, thinking I gotta clean these things, but I wanted to save it for the video. So. Again, get inside of the, underneath the lace eyelets. Got all the crap in there. It's actually really important to get in there because that's where a lot of rubbing and abrasion can occur if you leave dirt in there. All right. Get these dried off. All right. Now, like I said, it's looking good. Yeah. You can just kind of stop right here. But for these, you can see they're a bit more worn. There's a bit more abrasion around the toe here. And this is pretty much exposed where the oils and the open grain leather is susceptible to moisture damage and can dry out. So it's good to refill that with something. This is where shoe polish or something like a wax or mink oil can come in, and it fills those gaps and stops moisture from getting in and the oils that the leather was treated with initially from getting out. And so I'm going to be using this stuff. It's called Dubbin. It's pretty much just a silicone and some mink oil stuff mixed in, just to kind of replace some of the moistures. And then we're going to finish off, just to make it look pretty, looking nice and black again. We're going to put in some shoe polish. Black shoe polish, some waxy stuff. Awesome, and I'll do that now. Let me get this place dried off. Sweet. I'm gonna pull the insoles out actually right now. You can see what, this is what they're talking about with their special, how do they describe it? Their open cell polyurethane footbed. This is junk. It's just some shitty made in China, regular insole. In a way, it does make sense they use something like this and not too elaborate because it is meant to be high speed and you want it absorbing some moisture. I don't use these when I go hiking. I replace them with custom inserts like these Smart Feet here where they offer way more support. They're not amazingly heavy, but I did have a pack on my back, and so I wanted this additional arch support here. So this is what I typically wear in the Danners. All right, let's get some polish on this, or some oils. I'm going to be doing super light. You don't need a lot here. And already you can see it just, the shoe just, leather just sucks it up, gets it a little more shiny. You see those grains fill up with the oil and the silicone. And that's what protects your shoe long term. Especially around these areas where there's the cracks and crevices where your feet bend. Get it all in there. We'll brush it in after just to make sure it gets in all those crevices. And you want to be generous, but not too generous with this. You got to really just keep an eye on it that you're not leaving it saturated. You get all leather parts inside here too, just to make sure everything's protected well. I'm going to make sure you especially get the scruffy areas if there's been some scruffs. A good way to think about it is like your skin. When your skin gets cracked, it's easy for moisture to get in deeper and deeper and worsen the crack, which is why you got to keep your skin moist. But not too moist, which is the trick with leather. There you go. Durability-wise, they've been holding up. I'm going to show you the Unlined version in a minute. Those didn't hold up so well, but like I said, Danner warranted those for me. I'll show you what the issue was with them. Awesome. That's one boot down. Let's get this guy polished up. See, it just looks so much healthier once you get that stuff in there. It's great. This leather is super pliable now. These boots are really broken in. Just in Killarney, it's about an 80-kilometer loop. So doing a good 10 kilometers a day at least. Up and down ridges. That's the one thing. It's not amazingly long loop, but there is a lot of elevation in there. I forget how much. There's enough elevation to make you rethink life if you carry too much weight, I'll say that. Nice. All right, that does it for this stuff. And again, you'll see stuff like mink oil, some types of waxes, some types of silicones. You know what? Let me get the toe here. This toe's looking a little crusty. Sorry. Doing a shoddy job here. I want way more wax on this section here. This one doesn't look too bad. Nice. All right. Looking way better. All right, already looking cleaner. Again, you can leave it here, but let's get some shoe polish on it. All right. So I'll quickly show you with these ones. There's a lining in here, right? And it's a typical sort of weave, V-weave you see with anything with like a Gore-Tex lining. This makes the boot way more comfortable. It's meant to kind of let your shoe slip around and move, and it's pretty durable and adds way more comfort. The issue with the unlined version is, yeah, they're super fast and they're super light. You see these ones aren't even made of leather. They're made of some type of other textile. Totally unlined, a little faster, breathe a lot better, but they could be as uncomfortable as hell if they're not manufactured really well. The issue with these that needed to be warranted is you can see the stitch right here, the cross stitch. There was some stitching coming through on the bottom. Just a little bit of a knot right here in the X part at the corner here that was just rubbing on my foot that I couldn't cut out or get to for any reason. So Danner was really good and they did warranty these for me. But yeah, those are the things you got to watch out for when you have an unlined boot. It's got to be manufactured really well and really precise. All right, let's get some polish on these and we're done. Let me rub this in very quickly, just make sure all that silicone and oil is in as deep as we can get it. We'll give it a bit of a shine as well. Sweet. These boots are well worn. I would recommend them, again, if you can get them on sale. Retail, they're a little steep for my price, for my liking. For my budget, I should say. Cool. Polish. I just use a regular black cloth. I'm just going to put some polish on there and then buff it out. Then we're done. I'll put this stuff all over. It's totally cool. There's a way to use this stuff to make it really shiny, of kind of applying, buffing, wetting. Reapply, buff, and wet. I don't think I'm going to do that today. See how scratched up this leather is? Again, it's a very soft leather, meant to be light and pliable. These boots took barely any breaking in, so that's kind of a cool thing when you just want to get to work and get stuff done, because a break-in process for a robust leather shoe can take time. Ugh. But on the flip side, that means you're dealing with a softer leather. You're dealing with the left shoe now, left boot. You're dealing with a softer leather that has less durability. So when people say, oh, this is great, it's instant break-in, that's not always a good thing. Depends what you want this boot for and how often you're going to be wearing it. You see some stitching right here is coming out. Let me see if I can focus. Yeah, see? Stitching right there is coming out. This is an issue that's common with a lot of boots I've had. Right in this section is where stitching starts to come out the most, because that's where the flex is, and that's where the most stress on the stitch is, and it tends to come out. Typically what I'll do, and what I'll probably do here, is super glue that as quick as possible, just so it doesn't come out any further. All right, let's do a quick buff. Should do a buff on this one. I'm might do a second round on the toe, and then we can call it done. So these boots do not have a lot of arch support, as mentioned. They're pretty flat. So if you do have a high arch, you'd like arch support, or you're carrying a load on your back, you're going to want to get an insole that supports it. They do have a pretty wide toe box. I appreciate that, especially when your feet get swollen after a long hike or ruck. When you first get these boots, if you do manage to get a pair, they feel pretty simple. And that's sort of the thing, is like, when you get a simple high-speed boot, you're just kind of like, oh, this is what I paid for? But that's just the way they are and the way they're built, which is why it's always good to try and wait for a good value, a good price for them. Yeah, this is where it gives it a nice shine. Zoom in for you guys. All right, look at that. Looking much better than before. Quickly, let's just do a second buff on the toe, see how that helps. Alright. Just going to go off screen and buff this guy with a quick cloth. There you go. I don't know if you can see a difference at all. Not really. A little bit. Sweet. Look at that. Squared away. All right, let's get these laces back in. So yeah, if you're going hiking or on a ruck and you're going light, like I'd say 50 to 60 pounds, these shoes are good. If you're going heavier, you might want something with more support. If you got soft ankles, you're going to want something with more support. These do have some ankle support, again, but it's a textile, right? And it's not a thick leather protecting your ankle here. There's that reinforced ribbon here to kind of just lock your foot back and offer a bit of support. But if you've got soft ankles and you twist easy, you're gonna have to watch out for that, because this will not help you too much. Get these in here. Nice. I do wish the gusset went all the way to the top. A lot of boot manufacturers do this. The only company I find who doesn't do this, and I really like them for it, is Aku. And there's some other brands out there, I'm sure. But here you just got to remember that if your gusset is this low, you can take water up about to this eyelet is a good point. If you're going deeper than that, water's going to flood into your boot and then you're stuck. But there you go. You see how these are just easy to don and doff. These laces just come off super quickly. Let's get this other laces on and we're done. One cool thing I do is when I do get to the campsite, whether I'm wearing these boots or another heavier boot for any reason, is these other Tachyons. I'll show you these guys. These unlined ones are just so fast and light that I use them as like a base camp boot. I don't really like the whole flip-flop on site thing or croc, or if I'll go barefoot if I can. But when I get to the campsite, usually I'm dealing with an axe, I'm dealing with a saw, I'm moving around a lot still. I don't want to have on my hiking boots because they're just filled sometimes with water, sometimes they're filled with sweat. I want to put on a dry pair of socks and a dry pair of boots where I can still do work around the campsite. These are them. They fit into my pack really well. Putting these on at the end of the day where they're so breathable and light feels great. And I can still do some work because I've had like close calls chopping down a tree with flip-flops. It's not a fun ordeal. It's a fun thing to deal with. Also, it has the added benefit where if you have a catastrophic failure on your boot, you have a backup boot as well. Hike with 2 pairs of boots. Wild. Who does that? I do. But you know, you can nowadays with these fast and light boots. These are a newer thing, just like I think in the last like really, in my opinion, 10 or 15 years that they're really available. People in the military have been doing this stuff ad hoc, like bespoke custom super lightweight boots forever, right? You'll see this in like tier 1 training teams like SEALs or whatever. They'll just customize their boots so they're so fast and light for their selection. But now it's widely available to on the civilian market, so it's pretty cool. All right. Sick. So these are the Tachyons. Look at that. Clean. Squared away. Yeah, so I approve. They're good, man. Get a pair of them if you can. They're awesome. Again, get them on sale. Fast and light. They feel a little flimsy because they are a little flimsy, but they work well. They're good enough, and they're just that step above a sneaker, or right in between that beautiful spot between a sneaker and a boot. Easily packable. Go for the lined ones if you're okay with GTX. If you're going to get the unlined, go for the rough out leather ones or the leather ones. These ones feel just a little too meh, a little too flimsy, a little too made in China, so to speak. I got them on sale, so they're great. I like having them around the campsite. They're cool for that, for those reasons. But if I wanted an unlined pair of Danner Tachyons and I'm going to be hiking and moving around with them, I'd probably go for the rough out leather, the leather ones as well. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for the time. Take it easy. Bye.